What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's daily market recap. In today's episode, I'm going to break down each of the stocks I traded today. This morning, I traded 9 different stocks. That's a lot of stocks to trade in one day. That isn't typically what I do. I would say my best days would be when I sit down around 6:45, 7 a.m., and there's a stock that either is already strong from the early pre-market session from 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. that I jump on, or there's a stock that comes out with news very early in the pre-market window when I start trading, and I begin trading that stock. I make a ton on it, and then anything else that's popping up just doesn't feel obvious compared to this one leading gainer. Now today, we have that stock. It's up right now 262%, and I made the bulk of my profit on it, but it didn't come out with news until 8 a.m. So when I sat down at 7 a.m., I was trading what was the best at that moment, but on my first trade, I went red. So many of you guys know that I utilize an icebreaker strategy. So I'm a momentum trader. So momentum is the overarching strategy. But in terms of position management and risk management, I have this icebreaker technique that I use where each morning when I am first trading, my first few trades I take with smaller share size, about a quarter of my full size position, and sometimes less depending on how I feel about the stock. So today, on my first trade with that icebreaker position size, I went red. Second trade, still icebreaker position size, because I'm like, this is choppy, also red. Third trade, red. Fourth trade, red. Now, fortunately, I do have a rule that if I have 3 big losses, I walk away, just like if I hit my max loss, I walk away. But I didn't hit my max loss, and these weren't big losses because I was trading with smaller size. But there was no denying that the momentum was not here and that I was red on 4 out of the 4 stocks I traded. So how did we go from red on 4 out of 4 stocks to up $105,000 on the day? Well, APVO certainly turned things around with $75,000 of profit just on this stock alone. And then the others did add some icing to the cake. So where do we begin? Well, let's start with that first trade of the day, which was on LSE. Now you'll notice I'm actually green $10,000 on LSE. So I did turn things around on that stock, but my first couple trades were tricky. Now, for those of you guys tuning in, perhaps for the first time, let me introduce myself. My name's Ross Cameron. I'm a full-time trader. I funded my first account in 2001, and I'm probably best known for turning an account with less than $600 into more than $12.5 million in third-party, independently audited trading profits. Now, that audit was as of December. So that was $12.5 million as of December. I'm already up over $3 million this year, and I'm still trading in the same account where which was from the initial $600. So now it's going to be from 12.5 to 15.5, and we'll see where this year ends. So who knows? Maybe by the end of the year, my challenge will be updated from $600 to 15, 17 million. Well, we'll see what happens. But right now I'm sitting up over $3 million on the year. So technically it is already $583 to 15.5 million, 15.8 actually. All right, but nonetheless, I digress. Okay, so if you haven't already hit the thumbs up or subscribe to the channel, I do hope you do that. I upload recaps every single day, whether it's a red day or a green day. So I really try to show you with transparency what it's like to be a trader, but also remind you as always that this is risky. I have been doing this for a long time, so you shouldn't interpret my results to be typical. All right, so LSE, I sit down this morning and I saw this on my phone at about, what time was it? 6:37? Hang on, let me let the dog inside. Girl, you're wet. It's raining out. All right, so this one I saw on my phone on my scans it was right here. It was about 6:30. I was like, oh my goodness, all right. Now this is interesting because I traded LSE a couple days ago. You may recall it went from $5 here all the way up to 12, then back down, then back up, then back down. Whew, roller coaster. It's a foreign company, Singapore. So I was like, all right, a little tricky there. Now it ends up rallying up this morning, dropping back down, popping back up, dropping back down. And I pulled up my phone like right about here. I saw it and I was like, oh my gosh, this looks good. What kind of setup is this? That right there is an ABCD setup. Now on the 1 minute, it doesn't really look that good, but on more of a 15-minute time frame, it would be. And so the break of this pivot right there at $10 is the spot that I would be paying close attention to. So I'm just going to mark a trend line there. So I would say 1020 was a pre-market pivot. And then 1050 was the pre-market high. However, this, as you can see, popped up. So I actually hustled over to my office. I was like scooching over here as quick as I could. I have to walk across my driveway because my office is just in a little studio kind of across from my main house. So anyways, it was raining, so I hustled over here real quick. And I sat down. I saw it on this micro pullback, and I got in right here. But I added a little bit high, just over $11. It ends up hitting a high of 11.20, and it doesn't push higher. And then it drops here, and I ended up stopping out. So first trade of the day, I'm in the red on LSE. And I'm like, all right, well, bummer. Okay, but it's still early, and I figure I could probably, get back in the zone on it. But nonetheless, that was my first trade of the day, so I am red. And I was red $5,000. So I did a 15,000 share position, which for me is a starter position. And that's 3 orders of 5,000 shares, but that's still starter size for me. And I lost about 35 cents a share. So was in a little over 11, stopped out at like 1070. So not great. All right, but this is the problem. It's kind of thinly traded, so it dropped fast. Next stock is RELI. RELI pops up, and right about 7 a.m. right here, it pops up and it squeezes really quickly from 280 all the way up to a high of 340, as you could see. Dips down, pops up. I buy right here for the squeeze higher, stalls out and immediately reverses. So that was a high a day break. In at 340, but looking for that squeeze higher. Went to 355, did not take profit. Next thing you know, it's at 320. And I stopped out of that with a $1,500 loss. Now I'm green on it because it did curl back up later, just as I'm green on LSE. We'll go over those recovery trades in a minute, but just going in order. So that was my first trade. So now I'm down 6,500 on the day. And I'm like, this is not great. So then next trade is BDRX. BDRX comes up, and I jumped in this very similarly. And honestly, you got a nice wedge there, whatever, didn't work. Lost $1,500 on that, and I didn't go back in for it. So now I'm red on 3 stocks I've traded, and I'm down about $7,500. It's not the end of the world, but it's not great. And then STSS came up on the scans. STSS, this one was on the scans. It had news. So I jumped in it, and I took 2 trades really quickly. First trade was red, second trade was green. So I actually jumped in it in the middle of this spike here with 1,000 shares just to see if it was going to continue higher, and I still went red on it, but it wasn't a big loss. Then I got back in as it curled back up, made back that loss, but still with small size, so only $198 of profit. Okay, so now I'm red on 3 out of the 4 stocks, but I'm still down like 7,500 on the day. So not in a really great position. But I'm down, but certainly not out. So I'm being patient, and I kind of hold tight there for about 15 minutes. I don't take any trades. I'm like, let's just wait to see if we get some better news that comes up. So an APVO now up 361% as it goes to 13, which is awesome. Great to see. But it does have a jackknife in there, which I'll show you in a minute. So LSE ends up coming back up. It drops, as you could see right here. So this is where I had this is where I had that first trade right in there. It sells off right through here. And then it actually does an inverted head and shoulders pattern. And so as it came back up right here for the break back over VWAP, I got back in. And this thing squeezes all the way from 950 to 12. Fantastic. So I made $15,000 on that trade. Beautiful. So now I've recovered the loss and I'm in the green. So I'm now feeling a bit better about the day. Obviously I'm green on the day. So at that point I was green like $6,000 or $7,000 on the day, something like that. Yeah, something like that. It was a swing from red to green, but I wasn't up a lot, but I was obviously in the green. So then RELI gives another setup as well. And so I got back in this right here, which ended up being sort of a double top, but then a cup and handle formation. So RELI, that worked for the cup and handle. So made back the loss on that. So now I'm green on it by $195. Again, nothing big, but chipping away. And then I take a trade on EKSO. EKSO, micro pullback right in here, looking for the breakthrough 5, and look out below. Holy smokes. Breaking news, it's squeezing up, and it just completely rejects. And I lost $2,500 on it. So now I'm back to up maybe 5,000 on the day. And I'm just like, golly, maybe it was 7,500. But in any case, I was like, all right, you know what? The market's closed tomorrow. So maybe I should just pretend today's Friday and kind of pump the brakes and slow down a little bit, because this is getting kind of crazy. And so that was at about, this trade here was 7:30. And so then I pretty much sat tight. I was, I think I had one other trade, but I pretty much sat tight. And then all of a sudden at 8 a.m., APVO has breaking news. The news comes out, and immediately this thing rips from 250 up to 3, up to 4, up to 5. Let me get on the 10-second chart, and I'm going to show you my entry. So you want to know where I bought this? When you see this chart, I think you're going to know exactly where I got in. Okay, so what are we looking at here? Can you tell? Right there. What is that setup? That is a micro pullback. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a link to my micro pullback strategy PDF. I'm going to pin it to the top of the comments. I'm going to link it in the description. Download it. Study this pattern. I cannot tell you how important this pattern. I can't underestimate, or what's the right way to say it? I can't. You can't over. I'm all turned around. Doesn't matter. Let me show you a couple more. Let me show you a couple examples here. So I'm going to zoom in on this. So micro pullback right there, micro pullback right there. Here's a couple more examples. Micro pullback right there, micro pullback right there. Micro pullback right there. Micro pullback right there. Micro pullback right here. I trade the micro pullback almost every single day. This is a more extended micro, it's more of a bull flag. But this is a pattern that you need to learn. If you don't already understand it, you need to learn it. So download the micro pullback strategy PDF. That link is pinned in the comments for you guys. Study it today and tomorrow. And then when you come back Friday, you'll be that much better equipped to take advantage of this volatility. Because if you were just sitting and waiting for your first 1 minute setup or your first 5 minute setup, you miss the whole move. So that right there, this squeezes from $6 all the way up to $9. All right, so just like that, boom, I'm in. I make some good money on that. It dips down, and then I'm trading dips. So I kept trading it through this whole area here, buying dips, selling breakouts, et cetera, et cetera. At the open, I did not take any more trades on it. And I caution because look at these rejection candles. This is a candle where it went up to a high of 9 and then dropped down to 750. This is a candle where it went to 1150 and dropped to 9. These are called jackknife candles, and they can kill you. Once a stock has done just one jackknife, now you know it has the potential to do it. It's a combination of market orders, stop orders, and high-frequency trading algorithms that are just designed to take money right out of your pocket. So unfortunately, anytime it comes up to a breakout, now we worry about it doing this, another one of these jackknives. Maybe it won't. Maybe it'll squeeze up. But you have in the back of your mind, it's already done it twice. It's going to do it again today. It's just a matter of whether or not you can avoid it. And they can be tricky. They can be really hard. So your best bet, ultimately, would be to wait for one to happen and to buy the bottom of it, if you can. But even if you bought the bottom of this one, it still went lower before finally rallying back up. So that's all easier said than done. So APVO gave me some profit. Wasn't by any means the biggest trade of the month or the year, but decent. Grateful for that. Biotech stock with news out. So this drug they have shows strong clinical activity in frontline AML, 75% remission rate. So, that was the headline. And so that's what I was trading. All right. So boom, just like that. Now I'm in the green, in great shape. And then what do we have? LGHL pops up. Made $10,000 on this one. Tricky stock, Chinese, a Singapore name. So a little bit wild. Has this initial pop, which I traded. Didn't make much on it. sells off, comes back up again here. Why did it come back up again here on such high volume? A second news headline. So the first news headline was that they launched a crypto operation to broaden access to digital markets. The second one was securing a $600 million facility to launch hyperliquid treasury. So they had two headlines that came out, both in the crypto space, but it ended up working. And so that gave a $10,000 winner for me as it rallied back up right here. Then we had KWE. KWE kind of came out of nowhere. News just past 9 a.m. Receives prototype for its next generation battlefield laser detection system for major North American armored vehicle program. I think with what we've got going on in the Middle East, this type of headline, in this market is being well received. And so we got a nice squeeze on this, as you could see. And I traded it going into the open, was holding during this halt up, and was able to get out almost really just under the high, just around 1480s. So had a really nice trade there. Coulda, woulda, shoulda taken bigger size on it, but was already kind of cooling off for the day after kind of having a rough start and just being a little uncertain and feeling a bit that the attention was dispersed. But still at this point, APVO is our leading gainer. So it's great to see. I was in that stock early, definitely had the right idea on it. Should I have held from that initial trade or entry under 6? I mean, sure, it is up quite a bit from that initial entry, but also it went from 6 up to 9 and then came all the way back down to what would have been break even, right? So you got to pay yourself when you've got profit. And it's okay to get back in, but unfortunately, with some of these jackknife candles, it felt that it was no longer safe. So that is it for me. Again, make sure you guys download the micro pullback strategy PDF. I really think it's going to help you in your trading. It's a strategy that I utilize every single day, especially on breaking news, fast moving setups like this. And I'll remind you again, trading is risky. My results aren't typical, so manage your risk, practice in a simulator before putting real money on the line. And I'll see you guys back at it bright and early on Friday morning. Okay, see you guys on Friday.